for his career.
Furman in the road purple against the Catamounts in the home white, trimmed in purple. Paladins will have the basketball on the opening tap, and here we're off and running. Western Carolina in Furman. The battle is purple supremacy here on the hardwood. Ingles Court at the Ramsey Center. Good possession defensively here for Western Carolina. Slauson with it out in front, working against Robinson. Impact on impact. Gets to the midline, spins, fires, and gets it to, it falls out. Offensive rebound, though. Long three, first opportunity for either side from beyond the arc. We'll see a lot of those here this evening.
Yeah, it's got to be a good feeling, though, for Coach Justin Gray and his staff on that good defensive stand, though, early here for Western Carolina. They got to play excellent defense tonight to have a chance to knock off the Paladins.
Saw your starting lineups presented by Harris Regional and Swain Community Hospitals rolling by there. And again, Western Carolina will look to get something out of their big man, Joe Petrakis, a big guy that'll step out beyond the three-point arc. Cam Baycoat, another one of those three-point shooters. Marcus Banks, one of the top freshmen in my estimation in the league this year. Pull-up jump shot, right side. Robinson will not fall, and one and done for the Catamounts. And Paladins will get out and run. Alex Hunter, one of the best assist men, not only in the Southern Conference, but in the country. Marcus Foster working against Petrakis, gets down low, up and under, tried the fancy Dan move, couldn't get it to go, but another offensive rebound. And a second chance here for the Paladins. Left side, three on the way by Foster. That one won't fall, and long rebound again picked up by the Paladins. Another opportunity. This one's going to be deflected. Last touch by Western Carolina. We talk about our Penske keys to the game. Need a truck, call Penske, and one of those for Furman tonight comes in, and that's own the arcs. They do it both offensively and defensively, and also kind of locked down on defense. Very, very tenacious defense.
Yeah, the Paladins fourth in the nation. They average 11 three-pointers per game. You see the nice work in the paint here by the Paladins, but with 11 three-pointers per game, the player that the Catamounts may key on tonight, Alex Hunter, recently became the top three-point shooter all time for the Paladins. So Western Carolina will have to defend that three-point line to have a chance to win here in Cullowhee.
Yeah, we talked about there for the Catamounts, win that three-point battle. Make more than the Paladins, who rank ahead of them in average per game. Petrakis, first three, left side. That one will not fall. And again, the Paladins doing a great job keeping Western Carolina off the glass here early. One and done. Furman's had multiple opportunities at their end with the offensive rebound. Bothwell looking for the three. That one's good, and he's got all 5 of the Paladin points here to start the game.
Got 3 Paladins who average in double digits. Bothwell, one of those sharpshooters for Furman. Paladins off to an early 5-0 lead, and for Western Carolina, one of the keys, Daniel, they have got to get off to a good start tonight offensively and sustain for 40 minutes. They played better at home in SoCon play this year, but they always seem to come up a little short. 40 minutes will be needed tonight to have a chance to win.
And there's that tenacious defense. They gave up the look underneath for Petrakis, but can't get it to fall. Now Bothwell, or Slauson rather, out in transition. Layup will not go, but he draws the contact and the foul underneath. Furman out to the 5-0 lead. Again, doing a great job keeping the Catamounts off the offensive glass. That's one thing that this Western Carolina squad has done well, and that's get to the offensive boards this season.
Furman off to a 2 of 6 shooting effort tonight, shooting 33%. The Catamounts 0 of 3. Daniel mentioned the one and done opportunity so far for the Catamounts, as the first free throw up and good here off the nice touch by Slauson. He's a 76% free throw shooter on the season.
Slauson coming in, one of those players that leads the conference in steals. He's 6th in assists, 3rd in blocks per game. Talked about him ranking 8th overall in scoring at just over 15 points per game. Slauson, a big reason this Paladin squad sits in 2nd place as they try to end a 3-game slide. And yeah, they've lost 3 in a row, but it's been by a combined 12 points. Inability to hang on to leads late in games. Step back 3 for Garrison, left side. That one rattles home good. And it's a quick 10-0 spurt out of the gates for the Furman Paladins to grab a double-digit lead, and they're pitching a shutout almost a little over 3 minutes into the game.
So some really good shooting from beyond the arc, as we expected from the Paladins here early on. Now 2 of 4 behind the three-point line, but Daniel, again, some good offensive rebounding as they did Furman as well here in the opening 3+ minutes of the first half.
Head coach Bob Ritchie in his huddle, and Justin Gray in the middle of the Catamount huddle and didn't look too happy. He had to spend an early timeout. And part of it has just been good shooting from beyond the arc, 50% from downtown already for the Paladins, but also the fact that Furman right now out-rebounding Western Carolina 7-1, 3-0 board advantage on offensive rebounds. So after the timeout, you get a look at Joe Anderson, new into the ball game for Furman.
Western Carolina should have the services of Vontarius Woolbright, who's been an outstanding junior. He's been suspended over the last 3 or 4 games for the Catamounts. We understand he is eligible tonight to play for Coach Justin Gray. We'll see if he checks in here in the first half.
Tyler Harris to Cam Baycoat. Trying to get through this Paladin defense. No quarter given. Left side three is good by Petrakis to get the Catamounts on the board. Their first field goal, 1 for 5 to start the game.
And Petrakis, a transfer from Kansas State, a very streaky three-point shooter. We'll see if that gets him going here in the Ramsey Center this evening.
Marlo Gilmore in for Western Carolina, working one-on-one against Slauson down low. Backs his way in, little easy baby hook, up and in. Good-looking jump shot by Jalen Slauson. Mentioned only had 3 points in that first meeting between these two, already with 4 in the opening 4 minutes.
Slauson saving his best offensive work for his senior season. A senior out of Summerville, South Carolina.
Comes from a basketball family, talking about Jalen Slauson. Petrakis will try another three, left side. That one won't go, and Furman again locking down on the glass. No opportunities for second chance points. Slauson in transition. Gets it to Garrison, who drives in. Dribble penetration, that penetrating pitch. Furman lives by it. Garrison catches it on the right wing. 3 is good. Talking about streaky shooter. He knocked down 4 3-pointers against the Catamounts down at Timmons Arena, had a dozen points. He's had 4 more 3-pointers 6 different times this year.
It's going to be the third 3-pointer of the first half for the Paladins, now with their biggest lead at 12.
First offensive rebound by Western Carolina is going to be Banks. I think the foul they're going to say was on the floor, not going to give him the benefit of the shot attempt. Either way, it will be timeout on the floor, and we will take it with them. 15:09 to go here in the opening half. Furman, red hot start, 15-3. They're out in front of Western Carolina. As we return next here to the Ramsey Center. Paladins have combined for 15 points, 6 for Garrison on a couple of 3-pointers, 5 for Bothwell, 4 for Slauson. They lead Western Carolina 15-3. Petrakis, the only points of the night so far for Western Carolina. 12-point lead here early on. 15:09 to go here in this opening half. Daniel Hooker alongside Jeff Bryson, our entire ESPN crew. Glad to have you tuned in on this Wednesday evening in Southern Conference basketball. Ian Furman trying to keep pace with Chattanooga, but the Mocs a win tomorrow night against UNCG, and they can win the regular season, at least a share, talking about Chattanooga.
Yeah, Furman dropped a close game to Chattanooga Saturday at home, and now a 3-pointer after the timeout by Marvin Price, and that's a much-needed offensive shot in the arm for the Catamounts.
Second 3-pointer of the night for the Catamounts. Price right off the bench and able to knock down the triple. Joe Anderson being tracked by Baycoat. Already a little more intensity, I would say, defensively for the Catamounts as Garrison dumps that off underneath. Marlo Gilmore can't come up with it, and it gives it back to the Paladins here. 15-6, the early advantage. And Furman right now shooting 56% from the floor, 5 of 9, including 3 made 3-pointers, 3 of 5, 60%. Catamounts 2 of 8, just 25%. Both of those makes have been from range. Garrison gets free, partially blocked by Gilmore, but nobody there to get the rebound. And Furman with the putback pushes the lead back to double digits.
And we talked a lot about the 3-point shooting and defense being a key to the game, but so far rebounding, especially second chance and third chance opportunities for the Paladins. That's been a big key here in the first half for Furman with this 11-point lead.
Price tried another 3, a little heat check, couldn't get it to go. Furman will push the tempo in transition. Back to Anderson, who launches another 3. That one's good from the right wing. Furman knocked down 21 3-pointers, the most against the Division I team. Second time this year they had made 21 trays in a game. That against Western Carolina. Now Baycoat will lose it into the backcourt. They're going to say partially deflected. Didn't look like it from up here. But Baycoat will get the benefit, but can't get it to go at the other end.
Yeah, again, one and done for Western Carolina. And the largest lead of the first half. Let's see if it grows on this possession. Now Furman still battling, and Daniel, they're able to knock the ball away from Marlo Gilmore, and they'll retain possession.
Down the lane, a foul going to be called. So foul on Western Carolina and on the freshman Marcus Banks. His first, second team foul on Western Carolina. J.P. Pegues at the free throw line. Freshman out of Nashville, Tennessee, and knocks down the front end. First free throw attempt of the season by Pegues, from what I have in the stat sheet here.
You're talking about a player who, for the season, does not have a high scoring average, but he played very well against the Catamounts in the first meeting. 18 points in the encounter with the Catamounts down at Furman at Timmons Arena, and now at the free throw line getting some action early on in this contest.
Yeah, Pegues with 6 made three-pointers in that game, part of that 21 trays by Furman. A dominating performance, and they're out of the gates hot tonight, 22-6 before you had a chance to get settled into your seat.
Yeah, worst case scenario for Western Carolina, obviously you don't want to get behind Furman, a team that can continue to pull away. Let's see if Tyler Harris can provide some help for the Catamounts, and he does on that nice move inside the lane.
Yeah, good bucket there by Harris. 13-minute mark. And Furman has had trouble holding on to some leads here as of late. Double-digit leads, especially in the second half, that have evaporated. Rallied back against UNCG and had one slip away down at Bon Secours Wellness, and now finished down in low by Tyrese Huey. Another freshman getting some early playing time. Petrakis will try another three from distance. That one won't go. Long rebound out of bounds to the Paladins. 11-2 right now. Furman out-rebounding Western Carolina. Catamounts struggling at just 27% shooting. Part of it's been poor shooting, but a lot of it's been just really good defense once again by Furman.
Now, we've talked about the Catamounts have played much better at home this season than on the road, but they have had some really tough SoCon games here at home since the calendar flipped as well. Namely, UNCG, Samford, and Wofford all came in and kind of laid it on the Catamounts here on their home floor, and Furman threatening to do that here tonight.
Another three, that one won't go. Good box out. Keeping Slauson off the boards is Joe Petrakis for Western Carolina. Talk about the impact player, Nick Robinson. Only one shot attempt so far for Nicholas, not on the floor at present time. Catamounts have got to find somewhere else to go for offense. Petrakis will try to be that, and will. His second three-pointer of the first half. Trying to keep the Catamounts in this thing at the 12-minute mark.
Yeah, defense will be a key here for the Catamounts over the final 11 minutes of the first half, and they're going to make this a game in the second half.
Good help defense. Madison Monroe over to help Petrakis, but it left open in the corner. Pegues. And Pegues with another three-pointer against Western Carolina.
Yeah,
at six in that first meeting, and knocks that one down.
The Nashville, Tennessee product likes playing against the Catamounts.
Love seeing purple on the other side. Maybe it feels like it's like a... On the floor will be whistled as Cam Baycoat trying to get going for Western Carolina. Furman hot out of the gates, 56% shooting. They lead the Catamounts 27-11. 11:19 to go before halftime. Furman in front here in Cullowhee. The madness begins in Asheville, North Carolina. The 2022 SoCon Ingles Basketball Championship, March 3rd through the 7th at the Harris Cherokee Center in Asheville. For more information, visit SoConHoops.com as we head towards tournament time over in Asheville, North Carolina, where altitude affects attitude, is what they say.
Yeah, that's hard to believe. What are we, less than 3 weeks away now from tournament time? It should be an exciting time. We'll see if we have a Cinderella come out of the women's or men's bracket this season. I think it's going to be a wide open tournament. A lot of fun over in Asheville in early March.
Now, only 4 games remain on the regular season schedule for both squads. Petrakis will try his hand top of the key. That one won't go. Madison Monroe with Western Carolina's first offensive rebound of the night here at the 11-minute mark. 27-11. Furman out in front. Baycoat back to Tyler Harris. Petrakis lurking with 3 on the shot clock. Harris pull up. Free throw line extended at the elbow. Knocks down the jump shot. Tyler Harris with a couple of buckets now for the Catamounts.
Yeah, that Western Carolina's got to continue to score and not waste possessions with no scoring or turnovers to have a chance to rally back here with just under 10.5 to go in the first half.
Entry pass to Slauson. Double team comes, but he's able to power up through right at the midline and rolls it over the front of the rim. Jalen Slauson having a much better performance tonight. Again, not that he needed it. Only 2 shot attempts. Ended up with 3 points, 10 rebounds. Somewhat limited playing time in that first meeting.
4 Paladins now with 6 points to lead Furman in scoring.
Nobody going to the glass that time for the Catamounts, but a couple of Paladins will duke it out underneath. Yeah, it looked like Marcus Foster rather, and Jalen Slauson were going after the rebound. Alex Hunter, top of the key for the Paladins. Talked about his 3-point shooting prowess. Bothwell didn't catch it cleanly. Might have had an open look, but instead will pass it up. And Marcus Foster, who only had 4 points in that first meeting against the Catamounts, the redshirt sophomore out of Atlanta, dials up a 3-pointer. Already, 6 made threes in the first 10-plus minutes for Furman.
Yeah, 6 of 10 behind the arc are the Furman Paladins. We mentioned they average 11 3-pointers per game, which is 4th best in the country.
Tyler Harris trying to make something happen. He's got 6 points in the early going after he did not score. Down in Greenville, South Carolina was 0 for 4. Tip out to Hunter. Long 3, that one's good. And right now a shooting clinic being put on display by Furman. They've done this to a lot of people this year, but 21 threes in the first meeting against the Catamounts and already 7 in the first half here. And now a foul. Looks like Slauson and Price collided. And it looks like it's going to be a foul on Western Carolina, as they will go to the monitor to check. Marvin Price and Jalen Slauson got connected.
Daniel, Western was hoping obviously for a better start tonight, and with 3 of the final 4 games at home, they were hoping to finish with a spurt heading into the tournament, but a really rough start here on their home floor. Now conversely, Furman will be away from Greenville after they played their Saturday game against Wofford. The last 2 will be on the road for the Paladins, but they continue to play like this tonight, and they are going to be a force heading towards tournament time despite this recent 3-game slide.
Yeah, just 6 and 7 away from Timmons Arena and away from the Well. Talking about Bon Secours Wellness Arena, where Furman will play some of their home games. They've got Wofford coming up, a good matchup, and picked up a big road win over in Spartanburg, did the Paladins, but trying to find a way to finish strong down the stretch here and turn attention to the conference tournament coming up in Asheville. But in Chattanooga, an opportunity to wrap up the regular season. And, of course, Furman trying to hang on to that number 2 seed, VMI nipping at their heels right behind. And so a lot left to play for, and seeding-wise, and, of course, in the SoCon standings, a logjam right there in the middle of things. A bunch of teams at 7 and 7 overall. But so Justin Gray trying to get his squad to respond to scouting report. His first season in Cullowhee. And again, when Mark Prosser left for Rock Hill and Winthrop, only 3 players remained on roster. Only one of those really sees a lot of minutes. That's Tyler Harris. The other one, Josh Massey and Brad Halverson. But a total rebuild for Justin Gray. Brought in some grad transfers. And how about what Bob Ritchie's been able to do down at Furman? In his 5th season, picked up his 100th career victory earlier this year. 3 20-win seasons for the Paladins, but still trying to find that elusive conference championship.
Yeah, you talk about a coach, as you mentioned, in his 5th season as head coach, his 11th season with the Paladins. He had 6 seasons as an assistant before moving into the head coaching position, but he's right now ranked in the top 10 among active coaches as far as winning percentage. So an incredible job by Bob Ritchie, and having another successful season with the Paladins as they come into Cullowhee tonight. 17 and 10 overall and 9 and 5 in the SoCon.
The personal foul on Marvin Price has been upgraded to a flagrant 1. which will be free throws for Jalen Slauson at the other end, who knocks down the front end. We'll have one more coming as Furman continues to stretch their lead here.
Here's another thing they do well, and that's shoot free throws. So you can do a lot of harm to yourself when you foul the Furman Paladins. They will continue to provide separation on the scoreboard if you allow them to shoot free throws.
Yeah, 74% collectively as a team. And of course, you talk about guys, Jalen Slauson at 77%, Mike Bothwell at 83%, Conley Garrison over 70+%. So it's one of those things that, yeah, you got to pick the right guy. If you're going to commit the foul, pick the right guy. And Jalen Slauson not one of those to do that with, as now Furman will get the basketball back on the turnover by the Catamounts on the foul that was ruled flagrant on Marvin Price for Western Carolina. Catamounts looking for some intensity. Alex Hunter right side. Dribbles it in, nicely dumped off, but how about the block by Marlo Gilmore? On Bothwell down low. Slauson with 8 on the shot clock finds Hunter right side, 3 is good. Alex Hunter knocks down the triple, and Furman running away with things early, 40-15 with 8 minutes to go here in the first half.
Yeah, 7 3-pointers here in the first half. The Paladins also out-rebounding the Catamounts. We talked about the edge there, 14-4. So they're not allowing the Catamounts to have any second or third chance opportunities.
Cam Baycoat finds Petrakis, who will launch the 3. One of the only Catamounts to have multiple shot attempts, Tyler Harris and Joe Petrakis. And now Baycoat in transition will commit the foul, as Furman was out and running in transition. They've been out and running beyond the arc as well. Furman with 8 made 3-pointers now in this first half alone, and they've got 40 points with still 7:46 to go before the halftime horn. Paladins in control, 40-15. Catamounts will look for answers when we return after this here to Cullowhee. Western Carolina just 15 points here at the 7:46 mark, trying to find some answers, not only on the offensive end, but more importantly, maybe on the defensive end. Furman shooting nearly 60% from the floor. 13 of 22, but 8 of the 13 made baskets, Jeff, have been 3-pointers.
They've been red hot behind the 3-point line. We knew they were very, very good at shooting the 3 ball, and they have proven it here in the first half tonight. Jalen Slauson leading the way for the Paladins. He's got 8 points, and for the Catamounts, leading the way, Petrakis and Harris with 6 points each.
An illegal screen called on the Paladins will be one of the few turnovers. In fact, the very first turnover by Furman so far tonight. Foul called on Marcus Foster, his first, and the third on the Paladins here in this first half. 7:40 and rolling in 40-15. Furman right out of the gates, red hot, trying to build a lead. They beat the Catamounts by 30+ in Timmons Arena. Another good box out. Catamounts just 1 offensive rebound so far. So Furman doing the job on the glass just like they are defensively.
That's a pretty incredible stat when you look at how poorly the Catamounts have shot the ball down on their end of the floor, and Furman has not allowed them to have any relief on those missed shots.
Now Marcus Banks whistled for his second personal, fouled in the act of shooting, the 5th foul on Western Carolina. And Mike Bothwell, the aforementioned 84% free throw shooter, will go to the line. And 80+ points from the stripe this year for Bothwell, senior out of Cleveland Heights, Ohio. And right on cue, knocks in the front end of the 2 shots. He'll have one more coming. Saw Tyrese Huey check back in. I think Coach Ritchie's done a great job this year of building some depth as well. We've seen a lot of different players already play in the game for Furman. 9 different guys have already entered the lineup. I think everybody knows the top of the order here is Gilmore down low, finishes high, and he'll be fouled on a late whistle, finding a way to get in. Furman does a great job defensively of helping off, but when somebody's double teamed or somebody's helping off, somebody else is free. Catamounts doing a better job that time of finding Gilmore right at the point of attack, able to finish high, and he'll have a chance at a 3-point play. This is where an area that he's worked on all season has raised his shooting percentage at the free throw line to 43%, knocks down the 3-point play.
And one of the better offensive possessions for the Catamounts. And it's capped off by the three-point play by Gilmore. Let's see if the Catamounts can try to build a little steam here. Just under 7 minutes to go in the first half. It's been a rough go here against the Paladins in the first half.
Bothwell off the screen at the top, can't get the three to go, but an offensive rebound. Hunter doesn't miss many, but can't get that one to go, but another offensive rebound. Nobody boxing out underneath for Western Carolina. And another second chance opportunity now. What is that? 12 second chance points for the Paladins here in the first half alone. Coming off of 6 offensive rebounds or 7 offensive rebounds now.
And the matchups are pretty much the same across the line as far as the height of these players for each team. So Furman just finding a way to get the rebounds. And another nice dish down low is Gilmore with back-to-back nice possessions.
Yeah, good find by Cam Baycoat. Nobody stops ball though, and Garrison goes right to the rim. Conley Garrison drives it in. And now the Catamounts' Josh Massey turns it over as he was over and back on the inbounds play. Garrison, after he made the layup on the drive from the right wing, hung around in the backcourt and interfered in a legal way with Massey getting the ball in and carried it over the inline. So another giveaway for Western Carolina, just the third turnover. Turnovers haven't been the issue tonight. For Western Carolina, it's been the fact that Furman's shooting 58%, including 57% from beyond the arc. Up and under won't go. Massey with a good defensive rebound. Catamounts looking to run. Harris to Baycoat, back to Harris. And haven't seen much out of Nicholas Robinson here in this first half. He's been over on the sidelines a good bit of it, in fact. Inside to Gilmore, goes up and under. Strong finish by Marlo Gilmore. And that's one of those players, the Catamounts, if they start to look towards the end of the season, want to see a jump from.
Yeah, he's got 7 points in the last 2 minutes of the game.
Heading towards the 5-minute mark. Garrison off a little give and go. Long three won't fall, but another offensive rebound. 9-1 offensive rebounds in favor of the Paladins. Gilmore out running all the way down the floor. Fingertip roll is good, and Marlo Gilmore will have 9 points to lead Western Carolina now.
He's helping the bench numbers for the Catamounts too. All 9 of those coming off the bench for WCU.
Bothwell back to Anderson, around to Garrison. Moved the ball extremely well, this Furman offense does. Bothwell up and under move, can't get it to go. Petrakis and Gilmore were there to alter that shot. Right side, Massey, 3 in transition is good. Talk about guys off the bench, and Josh Massey with a big 3. Not to mention the fact that Marlo Gilmore is out and running for Western Carolina. Timeout on the floor, we'll take it with them. The under 4 media timeout here at the 4:29 mark on the timeout taken by Furman. Paladins continuing to lead. Catamounts trying to counterpunch here in the final stages of the opening half. 46-27, Furman in front. A little bit of a scoring spurt for Western Carolina as they try to whittle this lead away. Furman was up to 40 points midway through, or a little over midway through this opening half of basketball, and right now continue to lead Western Carolina 46-27, but Marlo Gilmore with 9 and Josh Massey off the bench with 3, helping the Catamounts try to claw their way back in this. Mentioned Furman has had leads but had them evaporate. Of course, it didn't happen the first time these two teams met down in Greenville, South Carolina, but the Catamounts trying to find a way here at home, and Justin Gray going to the bench and finding guys that want to be out there on the floor for him right now.
Well, the lead has been as big as 27 points for the Paladins here in the first half. The Catamounts have whittled it down to 19. Let's see if Western can continue to chip away here with just over 4 minutes left in the first half.
Marcus Foster drives in, and a blocking foul going to be called on Gilmore. Good defense by the Catamounts. They really hemmed in Mike Bothwell in the 3-second area. Was really close to having that whistle before he was able to get rid of the ball and get 1 foot out of the lane. Defensive stops will definitely be the order of the day for the Catamounts if they're going to find a way to claw back in it. Long three, top of the key. That one won't go. And Marlo Gilmore hitting the glass for Western Carolina. Comes away with the rebound. He's twice had double-digit rebounds. That ball's going to sail. Going to be deflected, though. And out of bounds back to Western Carolina. 3:53 to go before halftime. Shot clock at 22. Nicholas Robinson 0 for 1 from the floor, has only played 3 minutes. Our impact player for the Catamounts, their leading scorer and leading rebounder. Talking about a guy who's been in double figures a total of 23 times this year. Baycoat trapped out in front, now loses it. Good pressure. Anderson, outlet pass, gets it to Hunter, is all the way down. Layup, rolls in, good. That was actually Pegues. It was 0, not 10. Now making sure that Joe Anderson was okay. Back of the play, he was still down after coming away with the steal.
Not only the steal, but what a heck of an assist on that outlet pass to lead to the basket for the Paladins. Now Furman back up by 21 here.
Yeah, I mentioned this Furman team averages 9 steals and nearly 4 block shots per game defensively, and now an illegal screen going to be called not from the official right on top of the play, but from under the basket. And Marlo Gilmore called for the foul, his second, 7th on Western Carolina here in the first half. And with 3:20 to go, Furman will have the basketball. Free throws the rest of the way on any common fouls. Gilmore checks out. Marvin Price back in. Of course, Price picked up a personal earlier. That was ruled a flagrant. Gave free throws to Jalen Slauson. Price on Slauson again as he checks back in. Bothwell works down the lane against Madison Monroe. Shot up, no good. Long rebound, tipped around and controlled by the Paladins, but a takeaway now by Monroe. Baycoat in transition. And now a blocking foul out in front on Bothwell, impeding the progress of Madison Monroe. Catamounts didn't seem to really be in sync on that offensive possession, but the foul on Bothwell, his second, 5th on Furman, will let the Catamounts settle it down. So Garrison checks back in, and about check Joe Anderson, that last steal and the theft and the helper, almost in one full motion.
Well, Coach Ritchie has to be happy with the way his team responded. He took that timeout with just over 4 minutes left as the Catamounts had started making a bit of a rally. And since then, Furman's really stepped it up defensively. They've also had that breakaway layup since the timeout, and just look like they've got an extra bounce in their step since the timeout taken by Coach Ritchie. And now we'll see if the Catamounts can answer here on this offensive set.
I guess you could say that it could be easy when you're up 27 to let some of that defensive prowess fade away, as Cam Baycoat with the shot clock down inside of 2. Rattles home a 3.
That's
his
what the
first
Catamounts,
bucket.
Yeah, the Catamounts have not had a lot of that tonight from their guard position, so that's good to see. Baycoat draining a 3 for Western Carolina.
That shot won't go. Monroe boards the miss. And Madison Monroe seeing a lot more playing time, as is Josh Massey and Madison Monroe. And now the scoop to the hoop will not fall. Monroe just kind of looked at the rim like, anything you can do to help me out there, trying to get the most of my minutes tonight. Madison Monroe. Foul whistled, the 6th on Furman. And Monroe will go to the free throw line. 68% on the year.
Junior out of Charlotte at the stripe.
And the last foul was on Conley Garrison, 51 in purple. Yeah, just his first, but the 6th on the Paladins in the opening half here. Second free throw, that one's good. Catamount fans trying to find a way to get into it. Furman really took student section and the Ramsey Center out of it on a tremendous start. Had 40 points at around the 7.5 minute mark. Over the last 5, though, have only managed 8 points. Baycoat picks up his second personal and the 8th foul, and free throws coming now for Jalen Slauson. Paladins have cooled to just 47% shooting, while Western Carolina has warmed up to 48%. A 1-and-1 situation, and the Catamounts did not respond on the miss. And you can see Justin Gray at the top of your screen there, very upset that his team did not respond to a rare miss at the free throw line by Slauson.
Right now, the Catamounts as close as they've been since about the 12-minute mark of the game.
Now Hunter can't handle the inbounds pass and needed a changeup and threw the fastball, and I get hit Hunter maybe in the chest or in the chin and rebounded and ricocheted right out of bounds. Under 2 to go before halftime. 48-32. Catamounts trying to claw their way back. Price left open will take advantage all the way down. Layup will not go. Massey boards the miss. His putback is good. Josh Massey with 5 points off the bench. Catamounts are able to get this thing back to single digits here in this first half. Talk about a minor victory. Hunter in trouble, kicks to the corner all alone, 3-point shot, good. Right side three, as Foster cans that one. The 9th made three-pointer in the first half by the Paladins.
Yeah, that one was as big as any of them because the Catamounts had closed within 14 and were playing with some momentum here in the final minutes of the game, and a huge three out of that corner by Marcus Foster.
Price in trouble, has it tied up, knocked out of bounds. They're going to say last touched by the Paladins, but I tell you, until I saw UNCG play, saw Furman and watched Furman, thought they had the most tenacious defense in the conference. Arms and hands and legs and everything in the passing lanes, anticipating where the pass was going to go. Great scouting reports. UNCG, I think, has the best tenacious defense, 5 on the floor at a time, but Furman very good as well. And those two teams, I think, are going to be very tough outs when it comes to conference tournament play because of what they do on the defensive end. Never mind what they're able to do on offense.
Yeah, they can hold teams well below 50 points for an entire game. We saw them limit the Catamounts to 50, or the Paladins we're talking about in that first meeting down in Greenville.
And Slauson will be called for his first personal, just a little extra contact on the blocking foul, and Bob Ritchie wanting an explanation on that one. Not a lot of contact, the least amount of contact on the foul, but it will be the 7th on the Paladins, and now Marvin Price will have free throws. The 1-and-1 opportunity, just 60% at the line on the year, but rattles the first one home.
You were talking about UNCG. They also did a number on the Catamounts defensively in that first meeting here in Cullowhee, holding WC to only 49 points in a big win here in the Ramsey Center.
Yeah. Spartans have held a lot of people under 50, under 60 points, and prevent the other team from scoring. Wise man once said, you got a good chance of winning. Joe Petrakis back in for Marvin Price. Petrakis knocked down a couple of threes earlier. Marcus Banks in for Cam Baycoat. Keep an eye on that. He has 2 personals over the last 37 seconds. Catamounts in theory could get another opportunity with the basketball if they can get a defensive stop here and try to trim this deficit down a little bit more. Been quite the rebound regardless for the Catamounts after trailing by 27 at one point. Slauson through a lot of contact, and now Slauson will be guilty of the reach in on the backcourt on Tyler Harris. So Slauson picks up a foul well away from the basket in the backcourt, his 2nd and the 8th on Furman. Slauson a little frustrated with the perhaps non-call on his drive to the bucket. Tyler Harris, 74% at the line this year, will have the 1-and-1, misses the front end, but the Paladins board the miss. That's been quite the edge, 24-11 rebounding totals in favor of Furman. 12-2 on the offensive glass here in this first half. Garrison off a ball screen. It's going to be an offensive foul called underneath. They're going to get Marcus Foster with the illegal screen.
And enough time here for the Catamounts to get the ball down past half court for a last-second heave.
And 9 fouls now on the Paladins. Second whistled on Foster. So with 3.2 remaining before halftime, Catamounts have one more opportunity at it.
If Western could score here, Daniel, get it down to 13 or 12 at the half, you talk about a momentum swing.
But Garrison gets the steal over to Hunter. Time winding down. Three-point shot would have been good had it gone. Will not fall. And Furman will carry the lead into the halftime locker room. It was once very sizable at 27-plus points in that first half, but the Catamounts able to rally back and make this thing a little bit closer here at halftime, 51-36. With 9 first-half points. Again, big surprise, we've not seen Nicholas Robinson very much in this ball game for Western Carolina.
That's a huge factor for the Catamounts, the fact that their leading scorer has been held in check and also basically not been a very big factor at all in the game.
Gilmore looking for double figures and will be the first player into double digits now with 11. Gilmore in that first meeting had 8 points on 4-7 shooting against Furman, but in double figures tonight, helping the Catamounts in that edge off the bench right now in terms of 20-plus points, 21 points off the pine now for the Catamounts. Good finish down low, though, for Hunter. Got to the midline and pushes one towards the rim, up and in, 53-38, answering at the other end for Furman.
That's why Furman's so dangerous. They do not have long offensive lulls, so that's why it's going to be so difficult for Western Carolina to try to rally in this game. Furman able to match basket for basket the Catamounts where they were trying to rally late in the first half, and they're doing it here early in the second half.
Marcus Banks has it knocked away, ends up in the hands of Baycoat. Can't find the range from three. Petrakis able to get the rebound and put one back up, and I'm not sure there was a lot of contact on a foul there. Bob Ritchie definitely doesn't think so on the Furman sideline, but Petrakis will draw the foul. They're going to call it on Marcus Foster, which will be his third, and first player really in any kind of foul trouble. Will be 5 in purple, talking about Marcus Foster.
Furman looking for their 13th consecutive win in this series, but Daniel, most of the games in Cullowhee as of late have been relatively close, down to single digits as far as the average win margin. But tonight, a different story here in the Ramsey Center.
Second free throw by Petrakis is good after the first one missed. 7 points now for Joe Petrakis. You mentioned it. I mean, the last 2 games in Greenville have really been lopsided, 38-18 in favor of the Paladins, who play extremely well down at Timmins. Slauson gets free, right side three, won't go. Good box out by Petrakis, but even better work on the glass as Garrett Heen comes away with the rebound. Bothwell, good defense by Harris, cuts him off on the drive. Slauson gets free, has that one bounce off of Marcus Banks out of bounds. And 2 guys go to Slauson as he started the drive. Vontarius Woolbright will return now for Western Carolina. Again, 5 games Vontarius Woolbright has been absent from the lineup, serving a team-issued suspension by head coach Justin Gray and his staff as Hunter gets free from the right wing, and that's silky smooth on that jump shot 3 from the right wing.
Yeah, Woolbright was the leading scorer in that 38-point loss by the Catamounts down in Greenville when they faced off the first time.
And that's what he does, drive and penetrate, find a way to the free throw line. And Woolbright been in double figures 11 times, had double figure rebounds 3 times as a big size guard. Talk about Vontarius listed at 6'5", 6'6", coming off the bench. First game he's played in over the last 5.
Prior to the suspension was playing some of his best basketball, the primary point guard ball handling responsibility for the Catamounts. And since his absence, Marcus Banks and Cam Baycoat have picked up the point guard position for the Catamounts.
So Vontarius with 2. There's Nicholas Robinson, who we've not seen a lot out of tonight. And not sure if there's an illness or something else going on to keep Robinson out of the lineup. He's being very supportive over on the bench, though. Good defense by the Catamounts, able to recover as Furman had a couple of really good looks down low. And if they're going to get back in it, it's got to start on the defensive end. The intensity level is definitely up from what it was. Hunter gets a step, and that will kill any kind of rally in a hurry as Alex Hunter knocks down another 3. Hunter now into double figures for the Paladins as he's got 14. 4 made three-pointers tonight for Alex Hunter. Baycoat finds Tyler Harris on the wing. Harris had the hot hand early. Goes to work against Garrison. Turnaround jump shot. Rattles home good on the friendly home rim for Tyler Harris. So Hunter with 14, Gilmore with 11, the two leading scorers for either side. Right side, Hunter looking for more. That one won't go. Wilbright boards the miss. Rebounds very well as a guard. Baycoat from Banks in transition. Three is good. Sixth made triple now for Western Carolina. Don't look now, but the Catamounts and trying to nibble away at this Furman lead that was once 27 in the first half.
Right now, as close as Western has been since about the 12-minute mark remaining in the opening half.
Alex Hunter trying to do it by himself, gets underneath. Good defense cutting him off there is Gilmore. Shot clock down to 7. Bothwell gets to the midline, throws one up, won't get it to go, but will draw the foul on Marcus Banks, which I think will be his third personal. So the first Catamount into any kind of foul trouble with 3. And Bothwell with the shot clock winding down. That's the heady veteran right there.
An excellent free throw shooter, 83% on the season.
So first free throw by Bothwell is good. Still just able to hold the Catamounts at arm's length a little bit here. Western Carolina will need to find a couple of empty possessions for Furman in a row and buckets at the other end. Try to get the crowd of about 1,200 or so here inside the Ramsey Center on a Wednesday night. Pegues back in for the Paladins. There have been times this year Furman has definitely looked like one of the favorites. I think they're definitely a contender when it comes to the conference tournament. Gilmore down low, gets that one to roll in. He'll have a chance at a three-point play. How about the little pick and roll for Marlo Gilmore? Not going to say it's David Robinson-esque, but nice move there by Gilmore to get to the rim, and he finishes amidst the contact. And again, you see the guy on the bench there. You saw Nicholas Robinson. That's what's been a little more impressive about this is the Catamounts finding other players to step up other than Nicholas Robinson, who has really carried the banner for this squad all season long. You talk about a guy that ranks 7th in the conference in scoring, 5th in the conference in rebounding, and now Gilmore knocking down free throws.
And also matching his season high, as that's 14 for Gilmore tonight. He had 14 earlier this season at the Citadel.
He was 7 of 7 from the floor. He's 6 of 6 from the floor tonight. And now Slauson will be called for the offensive foul drawn by you-know-who, Marlo Gilmore. That'll be Slauson's third personal foul. Catamounts starting to feel a little bit of momentum here as they have an opportunity on this next possession to potentially get it back to single digits. 15:56 to go, Western Carolina trailing Furman. It's the Paladins 61, the Catamounts 49 as we continue from Cullowhee after this. 15:56 to go here in the second half. Western Carolina hanging around here, 61-49. It's one of my favorite songs by the Counting Crows, Hanging Around. Catamounts trying to do that right now. Furman looking for some answers, trying to get things going. Alex Hunter has done his job, 14 points tonight, including 4 of the Paladins' 11 made three-pointers.
Yeah, this is happening pretty quickly here for the Catamounts, this second half rally. Obviously, a goal right now would be getting it down to single digits and then going from there. But Furman, after that timeout, we'll see if they respond to their instructions from Bob Ritchie.
Wilbright finds Marlo Gilmore, misses his first shot of the night, comes at a most inopportune time. And now Bothwell all the way down, scoop to the hoop. He's going to be fouled by Gilmore. And Wilbright did a nice job weaving through traffic at the other end and trying to lob one up to Gilmore. I think he wanted Gilmore to go for one, catch it in the air and shoot it, but instead Gilmore caught, collected, came down, and when he tried to go back up, good defense by the Paladins was Johnny on the spot. And now Mike Bothwell at the free throw line. Bothwell went for 26 in that first meeting, knocked down 4 3-pointers. Alex Hunter back in. He's got a game-high 14 points to match Gilmore, who has a career-best 14.
Bothwell becomes the second Paladin to reach double digits tonight with that made free throw, joining Alex Hunter.
And a big story for Western Carolina this evening is the fact that their go-to player, impact player, Nicholas Robinson, has not played but like, what, 4 minutes, 5 minutes maybe in that first half.
Yeah, we're not sure if that's a coaching decision or if he's ill, but obviously a big void for Western Carolina when Robinson is held in check on the stat sheet.
And how about Wilbright? Nice little scoop to the hoop down the lane. That's what he does so well. 62-51. Catamounts need another stop. Have a chance to claw back within single digits. Bothwell goes to work, drives all the way down the left side, open right up. And he's able to put it off the window good.
He's been a go-to guy for the Paladins here over the last few minutes of the game.
Yeah, he's
limiting the Catamounts here on their attempt to get this deficit down to single digits.
Yeah, he's got 11 now. Baycoat steps back, jump shot good, able to answer the other way.
Talking about Western Carolina shooting better, Daniel, here in the second half. Catamounts now shooting 52%. The Paladins have cooled off to 45%.
Yeah, Western Carolina, 5 of 6 here in the second half shooting, just in this half alone. But a big three by Bothwell from the corner. That's the answer that Furman continues to have. 12 of 25 from range. 12 of their 21 made baskets for the Paladins have been from distance. Runner for Baycoat won't go. He comes up a little lame on the play.
That was a tough possession for the Catamounts.
Transition, and now a foul going to be called as, again, Furman realized they had the old power play, 5-on-4 return.
On the opposite end after the miss by Baycoat, a good aggressive drive to the basket by the Paladins to draw the Catamount foul.
Another look at it here is, again, Tyler Harris there, and Bothwell, most of the reaction after the missed layup attempt came well after the contact. Front end of 2 shots is good. Marcus Banks back in for Cam Baycoat, who we mentioned on that last drive. Came up a little hobbled. And you're taking 15 points per game off the floor without Nicholas Robinson. And over 7 rebounds per game. 2 shots by Bothwell, both are good. He'll get to have a well-earned breather as Marcus Foster checks back in. 69-59 as Furman again has opened this thing right back up after the Catamounts had an opportunity to get it down to 10 on a possession a moment ago.
Robinson again has played 3 minutes tonight. 0 for 1 from the floor, no points and no rebounds, and you're talking about the leading scorer and leading rebounder coming in for WCU.
Yeah, had a triple-double up at VMI. Albright trying to work his way down, and now will be called for the offensive foul drawn by Alex Hunter. So Albright will give it away on the offensive foul. Hunter did a great job of kind of doing the old bait and switch. Put up the strong front, and then once he lowered that shoulder just a bit, Hunter drew the charge. Very heady play from a veteran player in this conference. Foster gets to the midline, up and under, won't go. Price with a strong rebound. Catamounts have had some good ball movement, but it's all been perimeter passing. Banks open left side 3. That one good. And for Banks, one of his first buckets of the night. Marcus Banks able to knock that one down from distance. Step back, Hunter thought about the 3. Instead goes to Pegues. He'll try the downtown 3. That one will not fall. That one tipped by Garrison is good. Garrison just outworking his man underneath. And the rebounding totals continuing to favor the Paladins tonight.
And Furman again doing an excellent job keeping the Catamounts at arm's length here so far in the second half.
Woolbright underneath, short arm that one. Long rebound picked up by Garrison, looking to run. Head pass all the way down, layup good in transition. Pegues out and running. Timeout taken here by Justin Gray. Will be our first called timeout of the half, so we'll take it with him. As Furman has pushed it out now to a 73-56 advantage. Doing it in transition. Defense leading the offense. Paladins looking good here at the 12-17 mark. 73-56, they lead Western Carolina. Southern Conference basketball on ESPN, presented in part by Ingles. Low prices, love the savings. By Pepsi, that's what I like. By Harrah's Cherokee Casino Resort. By Harris Regional and Swain Community Hospitals. And by Penske. Need a truck? Call Penske. 73-56, Furman out in front of Western Carolina. And the Paladins right now have erupted over the last couple of minutes and have built this thing back out to the 73-56 lead they currently enjoy. But right now, overall, Western Carolina shooting 53% from the floor. Paladins just 48, so Catamounts out shooting the Paladins in terms of percentage, but the big difference right now, half of Furman's buckets have been from beyond the arc, 12 of their 24 makes. Catamounts, just 7 of their 20 made buckets have been three-pointers.
Yeah, and it's been a reserve tonight that's helped keep the Catamounts in the game. Marlo Gilmore has played outstanding tonight for WCU off the bench, 14 points, matching a career high for Gilmore established earlier this season. And right now, Western Carolina, Daniel, still with some work to do, down by 15, but still a lot of time left in this game.
And we talked about it has to start on the defensive end to get stops and then find points the other way. Now reach in foul. But you saw the ball on the wing. Marvin Price picked up his dribble. And much like Chum in the water with Sharks, 3 defenders all came and converged right there on Price. Foul was called. It'll be the 4th whistled on Marcus Foster. The unfortunate break there for Furman. But you love the intensity and understanding where they are right now. This Furman defense, as much as their three-point shooting, is the reason they have this advantage. Shot clock down to 5, now 4. Tyler Harris goes to work. Scoop shot will not fall, but it draws the contact. Very, very late, out of control coming down the lane, but will draw the foul. And the foul is on Jalen Slauson. That'll be his 4th. So a couple of Paladin starters now with 4 personal fouls, and Foster and Slauson. And free throws coming on the other side of this timeout. We'll take it with them. 73-56, Furman in front of Western Carolina here from Ingles Court at the Ramsey Center. 11:45 to go here in the second half. 73-56, Furman out in front. Looking for win number 18, win number 10 in conference play if they can get it. Tyler Harris will be at the free throw line after the 4th foul whistled on Jalen Slauson right before the timeout. 74% free throw shooter for Harris on the season. 0 for 1 from the stripe so far tonight.
Played his high school ball at Independence High School. Tyler Harris, his 3rd year here at Western Carolina, out of Charlotte.
Second free throw, that one rattles home good. And the Catamounts have seen the return of Ontarius Woolbright tonight, who's come off the bench here in this second half for 4 points. Well, we've not seen leading scorer, leading rebounder, Nicholas Robinson. Right side, Bothwell against Tyler Harris. Looking for some room and makes his own room underneath. Ball blocked by Gilmore, but ends up in the hands of a 3-point shooter in Pegues. He can't knock it down, but a foul called on Western Carolina. Furman will have an opportunity here, and Justin Gray will earn a technical foul, his 2nd technical as a head coach, as he's standing near the midcourt stripe. Very frustrated, thought there was equal contact at the other end. I'll tell you, Justin Gray played his college ball at Wake Forest. Pretty sure Steve Forbes might say, hey, come on, young man, let's put you back in a uniform. Very fiery. As free throws at the other end, good by Bothwell, who will take the technical free throws. Foul called on Tyler Harris. Will be his third personal. And then the technical foul on Gray. So a couple more free throws good for the Paladins, 75-58. And again, Furman right now threatening to push this back up to a 20-point margin on this possession.
Yeah, you talk about in passing there, Coach Forbes down at Wake now, but you talk about these coaches who've moved on, Mike Young up at Virginia Tech, Wes Miller now at Cincinnati, and just how good this conference still is with the absence of those three outstanding coaches moving on to Power 5 and Group of 5 conferences.
Long three by Garrison won't go, and Gilmore boards the miss. You look at some of the coaches that have come and gone. Talking about a Bob Hoffman down at Mercer, guys like that really paved the way to open the door for coaches like Bob Ritchie, like a Justin Gray, like a Desmond Oliver. Talk about Lamont Paris over at Chattanooga, job he's done as Woolbright finishes strong amidst contact. And we'll head to the free throw line for a chance at an old-fashioned three-point play. But it's some of the great coaches that you mentioned that have come and made this conference, the commitment by the Southern Conference to men's basketball and basketball in general has really made this a really strong conference. And it's attracting some of the best to come coach in this league.
And some outstanding recruits as well coming into the SoCon. As at the free throw line now. Attempt is good by Woolbright. And the Catamounts again trying to close the gap now, down by 14 as the clock under 11 minutes to go in the game.
Yeah, we said it all along, though. It's going to have to come on this end. They get some empty trips, and Garrison will prevent that as he's going to be fouled, looking for the dunk off the left-hand side, and foul called underneath. And if that's on Banks, they're going to say it's on Woolbright. So it'll be his second, sixth on the Catamounts here in the second half, and Garrison a chance at a three-point play, a 77% free throw shooter on the year. The day and age of recruiting the best high school senior, it's still out there. But I think now it's also, can you recruit those JUCO or mid-major, high-major transfers to come in with the transfer portal? It's really changed how some things go. You look at Western Carolina's roster, for instance, a lot of these players from the portal. Furman's been able to hang on with, again, the consistency. Fifth year for Bob Ritchie.
And I'm sure Coach Ritchie would want us to mention Nico Medved, who was an outstanding coach now at Colorado State, who really got things turned around for the Paladins before Bob Ritchie took over after Coach Medved moved on, I believe, to LaSalle, if I'm not mistaken, after his time at Furman.
In the lane, Baycoat has it deflected away. That one blocked on the second opportunity.
Let me correct myself. He moved on and went to Drake after Furman. So, but he did an outstanding job when he was with the Paladins.
Garrison gets free again. Bothwell, right side three won't go. And Garrison, another offensive rebound. Furman, Hunter, three balls. That one won't fall. And nearly coming away with another offensive board, and they will, as Heen deflects it off of Woolbright. And the Paladins right now out-rebounding Western Carolina 33-17. But equally impressive is the fact that it's 17-4 in terms of offensive rebounds. Only 4 offensive boards for the Catamounts, who really thrive on that. As Banks checks back in for Baycoat. 12 made threes tonight as Gilmore gets the theft out in front, looking for the dunk in transition. He's going to be hacked on the way to the basket. And a good recovery by Heen, who gave it away at the top of the key, but was able to recover in time. Picks up his third personal, 8 fouls now on the Paladins. And that's a good idea. You got a guy that's shooting a high percentage from the field, and Marlo Gilmore, because most of his shots are within 2 to 3 feet of the basket. Now put him at the free throw line, where we've documented where he's just a 44% free throw shooter on the season, though tonight he's knocked down both of his attempts. That time, a little line drive action too hard. And no good. As again, Heen coming down, did a good job to get back and got part of the ball on a deflection.
Well, a made free throw here would establish a new career high, and 15 points will do that for Marlo Gilmore. He continues to lead the Catamounts in scoring. As a matter of fact, along with Tyler Harris, the only two Catamounts in double digits tonight.
Hunter will take the long three from the top of the key, and why not? 17 points, 5 made three-pointers.
And just like that, back to a 19-point Paladins lead.
Woolbright gets down low, scoop to the hoop won't go. Gilmore with the rebound, finds Tyler Harris, who knocks down the three. Gilmore with the offensive board and the helper on the play. Nine minutes to go as Foster can't get that one to go. Ball deflected out of bounds. Last touch by Western Carolina. Furman will have it on the other side. Well, thought it was going to be a timeout. No, it's just the buzzer sticking in the Ramsey Center. So anytime they hit the horn, it resounds like it's change of possession.
But my alarm clock doesn't sound like that, or it would be demolished.
Well, maybe it should.
Yeah, I don't think I need that.
81-65, Furman in front. They've led by as many as 27 and have managed to keep a double-digit lead since taking a double-digit lead in that first half. Led at the break 51-36. Catamounts have gone toe-to-toe with the Paladins here in the second half, 30-29, till that three by Hunter. Alex Hunter continuing to stroke it from distance. That one shot from downtown Silva.
Yeah, and again, this is why Furman is such a good team. You try to close the gap, and Furman answers. They do. They smell blood. They smell the team starting to close in, and they respond.
Tyler Harris trying to answer, cannot. Now Gilmore, a little over-aggressive, trying to go for the rebound and knocks Alex Hunter down. And so Gilmore guilty of the foul. So Gilmore picks up his fourth personal, and the bonus now for the Paladins. 84-65 with 8:16 to go. And free throws the rest of the way now for Furman. Hunter just a 69, or check that, Pegues is going to be the guy going to the line. Thought it was 10, instead it was 0. We'll say this, not a big fan of the dark numbers on the dark jersey, from distance at least. So Pegues, who got his first free throw attempt earlier tonight, knocks that one down as freshman out of Music City, USA. Two for two. Pegues now 4 for 4 from the stripe tonight.
Furman scored 88 in that first meeting against the Catamounts. Of course, Western only put 50 on the scoreboard against the Paladins. Both teams will better their performance than that first meeting as far as the points on the board, but it looks like the outcome may be the same as the Paladins continue to dominate here in the Ramsey Center on the road on this Wednesday evening in Cullowhee.
Rebounding totals, three-point shooting, and overall defensive effort for Furman as they're well on their way here. 8 minutes to go, just under that at 7:57. It's 86-65, Furman in front of Western Carolina here from Ingles Court at the Ramsey Center in Cullowhee. 86-65, Furman out in front with just under 8 minutes to go here from the Ramsey Center. Paladins trying to complete the regular season sweep of the Catamounts after, again, a 38-point win down at Timmons Arena earlier this season. Joe Petracca's trying to find a way to get going for the Catamounts. Has a couple of three-pointers and 7 points. Marlo Gilmore with 15. Tyler Harris with 13 leads the way. 8 points for Cam Baycoat. Alex Hunter now has hit the 20-point plateau. He's got 20. Bothwell has 19, 13 for Garrison, and 11 for Pegues to lead the way for the Paladins.
And Nicholas Robinson has not seen the court for the Catamounts in the second half, so that is a developing storyline here for Western Carolina.
Another open three for Alex Hunter. You mentioned it earlier, became the all-time record holder for career-made three-pointers. He's going to push the 300 threshold. He came in, 291, I think was the count. He's got 7 of them tonight, closing in on 300.
That's 15 made threes here for the Paladins. At some point, May have to start looking at the record books to see what the all-time high for an opponent as far as nailing threes here in the Ramsey Center is.
And Furman knocked down 21. Hunter again. Little heat check. That one wouldn't go. I think Alex Hunter from beyond the arc has the green light once he gets off the bus. Woolbright finishes down low, and nice job there of keeping the Catamounts trying to pull them back in it here, but trailing 89-70 with 7 minutes to go. I know Furman fans will want me to stop talking about the leads that have evaporated for this squad, but learning opportunities each of those have been for Furman. Trying to find a way here, give and go. Slauson has it partially blocked by Tyler Harris. Slauson, who has 4 personal fouls, was looking for the foul call. As in transition, Petrakis' 3 won't go. Marcus Banks boards the miss. Catamounts move the ball around the perimeter. And nobody inside the arc. 3-point shot by Banks. Left side will not fall. 9 made threes for the Catamounts, 15 for the Paladins. We talked about these two teams. Furman 4th in the country in 3-pointers made per game. The Catamounts 10th overall in the nation. How about that scoop to the hoop by Pegues? A little bit too easy on the dribble drive. It's got to pick your poison if you're playing Furman. The prowess they have for beyond the arc. You can't just become a perimeter dominant defensive team. Then you give up those straight line drives.
Yeah, they have 26 points in the paint tonight to complement 15 3-pointers.
Woolbright now into double figures with 11 points off the bench here in the second half. Has been a welcome return for him, as Anderson has that one partially blocked by Petrakis underneath. Woolbright in transition, scoop up and under, will not go. Harris battling for the rebound. Finds Woolbright. Over to Baycoat. His 3 on the way is good. 91-75. Timeout taken by Bob Ritchie at the 5-minute mark. And game still well in hand right now for Furman. But Coach Ritchie, understanding what has transpired in a handful of games here over the last couple of days. Mentioned Furman on a 3-game losing skid, but a combined 12 points in those 3 losses. So very, very close games that the Paladins have not been able to hang on and win. That's been the difference in having them battling Chattanooga for that regular season crown and now holding on to second, trying to fend off VMI, who I think is probably one of the best stories in the conference this year when you talk about what they've been able to do. Dan Earl and company, and our good friend talking about the Dean's List, Dean Keener, talking about VMI being a tough out. Lost to the Citadel at home last weekend, but #1 of the SoCon in 3-point field goal percentage and free throw percentage. And as Dean astutely put here, you can win games when you can shoot it.
Yeah, and I don't know if you could just pick any team from first place to last place in this conference that you would want to face even in an opening round game at the SoCon tournament. It's going to be that wide open this season.
I don't envy Jeff Cabe and all the folks at the conference who have to decide the tiebreakers, as well as, again, drive by Pegues from the perimeter. He did the damage from beyond the arc with 6 made 3-pointers down at Timmons Arena earlier this year, doing it with the dribble drive there. And Pegues now in double figures with 15 points. Woolbright's going to be muscled off his line, knocked down by Tyrese Huey. Picks up the foul, and his first. And now 9 fouls on the Paladins, so 1-1 coming here for Vontarius Woolbright, who has 11 points, all in the second half, all coming off the bench.
But to wit what I was talking about, facing any team in the SoCon, you look at the 2 losses Chattanooga, the league leader, has this season. One of those losses against last place, Western Carolina. So anything can happen, especially when the tournament arrives over in early March in Asheville.
The other loss was to an up-and-coming team starting to play extremely well, that being the Sanford Bulldogs, who come in to tonight just half a game out of 6th place in a couple of Power 5 wins earlier this year for the Bulldogs, but come in just a half a game out of that cutoff spot That's going to be a tough opening round matchup. Quez Glover. Bothwell back at the free throw line where he is now 10 of 11. And Bothwell alone has nearly shot as many free throws as Western Carolina has made. 13 of 17 for the home squad. Bothwell now 9 of 11. Or 10 of 11. Now 10 of 12. A rare miss again for Bothwell.
And then you talk about the Mercer Bears, Daniel, with Coach Greg Gary. That's another team that's right there in the middle of the pack. And not an easy out either when SoCon tournament play arrives.
Yeah, Mercer with a couple of wins. To the midline. We're talking about the Bears. 2-0 against UNCG, 1-1 against Sanford, 1-1 against VMI this year. Those are the teams they're fighting for that sixth playoff spot to earn the first round bye into the conference tournament coming up first part of March. Furman out in front of Western Carolina, 94-75 your score. That's Montarius Woolbright trying to get Western Carolina back in it. Foul called. We'll have free throws on the other side of this timeout. 94-75, Furman leads Western Carolina here in Cullowhee. Furman closing in on the century mark. 94-75, they lead Western Carolina. That man right there, Alex Hunter, has been a big reason why. 23 points, one of two Paladins into the 20-point plateau. Bothwell has 20, Hunter has 23 to lead the way for Furman as Montarius Woolbright will head to the free throw line. And the Catamounts have played bulk of this game, all but about 3 minutes or so, without their leading scorer and leading rebounder. Talking about Nicholas Robinson. And we've seen Robinson on the bench. He's been very supportive of his teammates, so it seems like, again, maybe not a health issue perhaps. Again, not trying to speculate at any stretch of the imagination, but a very noticeable absence there from the lineup. Talking about Robinson. 94-77, Marlo Gilmore has 15 points to lead the Catamounts, guarding Slauson on the way up the floor. Hunter gets free on the wing. Bothwell thought about the three, now drives into the 3-second area. Shot clock down to 5. Foster goes to work, gets to the midline, makes some room, puts it up and in. Strong move in the paint that time for Foster.
Yeah, again, this is a team that can do a lot of damage on the interior, as well as that three-point shooting prowess. So Western Carolina's had their hands full defensively tonight. A nice job down low, though, by Marvin Price for the Catamounts.
7 points for Price tonight. In 32-26, 32-28 now, the points in the paint. How about that finish for Mike Bothwell? Bothwell went for 20-plus the first meeting, 26, including 4 made three-pointers. He's into double figures for the 24th time this year, 5 in a row. And for the 7th time this year, he's got 20 points for Furman. As Madison Monroe checks in for Montarius Woolbright, who was just picked up the foul.
We do have one final rolling in tonight in SoCon men's basketball as Wofford has defeated the Citadel 65-58, and a minute left down in Macon, Georgia, and Mercer leading ETSU 61-54.
ETSU had the lead there in that early in the second half at halftime and into the early part of the second. Price to the midline, in trouble, able to finish off the window good. How about Marvin Price? As we head down to the 2-minute mark, 99-81. Furman looking for the century mark on this possession. Jalen Slauson against Marvin Price. Double team comes. Bothwell splits it right down the lane. Straight line drive on a good find, and 101 on the scoreboard now for Furman. 20-point lead, 101-81. Early part of this second half, Western Carolina had a good chance to try to trim this thing back down to single digits, but every time Furman had the answer as Baycoat can't connect. Final 90 seconds as Furman looking for its 13th straight win in the series. 3-point shot left side won't go. Monroe battling Slauson. Bothwell ends up with it. Another offensive rebound. Top of the three, Key won't go. Price, right side, three in transition. That one gets the friendly bounce off the home rim.
Yeah, Marvin Price saving his best for last as he's come alive here in the final minutes of the game.
Catamounts will use a substitution timeout. Josh Massey will check in, as will Davion Everett, and a full line change here. Looking like a hockey line change for the Paladins as Bothwell and Hunter, Garrison, Slauson, all the starters will check out. I'm not sure if you've got a more talented starting five. You add in Marcus Foster and his 8 points per game. I don't know if you have it'd be hard pressed to find a more talented starting five. I think.
Well, you're talking about a starting five that includes three upperclassmen that have played a lot of basketball together. Bothwell, also Hunter, and Slauson. These are three seniors or graduate players that have just had a tremendous impact on this Furman program.
Madison Monroe driving in will draw the foul call underneath. Inside the final minute, 101-84. And the Catamounts have got to feel good in some respects, hitting the 80-point plateau without their number one leading scorer. Got to think that's going to bode well. Offense coming from different places tonight, as the free throw by Monroe's no good. Catamounts with 4 players, make it 5 players in double figures. Gilmore with 15, 13 apiece for Harris and Woolbright. But again, that man right there, Nicholas Robinson, has not been a factor. Only played 3 minutes and came in averaging 15 points and 7 rebounds per game.
Again, the Catamounts will have a chance to regroup and be back at home on Saturday. They've got a 2 p.m. matchup against the Mercer Bears. And Furman again will head back down to Timmons Arena to host Wofford at 12 noon on Saturday.
I think that game's over at the Well. Bon Scores Wellness Arena. That place could be packed.
Yeah, that could be a huge upstate crowd there for that rivalry game.
Garrett Heen slams one home underneath, 103-85. Josh Massey gets a step underneath, drives it in, can't get it to go. Rebound picked up by the Paladins, who will probably, in fact, let the last 10 seconds milk away, as they'll pick up their 13th consecutive win over Western Carolina. They've won 14 of the last 15, and the Furman Paladins will pick up win number 18 on the year. 10-5 in conference play. They're going to keep pace for now at the top of the SoCon standings, and will keep VMI a half a game further back as VMI plays tomorrow night. Keeping an eye on the race for the SoCon seedings down the stretch as we head towards tournament time. Jeff, your final thoughts on this very impressive game for the Furman Paladins?
I think it was just the balanced scoring tonight. 45 points coming behind the three-point line for the Paladins. 38 points down in the paint tonight. So they did it inside and outside. You can see some of the highlights tonight as they worked the ball down low, but they were firing on all cylinders from the get-go tonight. And a very impressive win here for the Furman Paladins. But you talked about Western Carolina not getting contributions tonight from their leading scorer, Nicholas Robinson, still able to fight and scratch all the way to the wire. So they're going to try to regroup and again play better on Saturday with another home game coming up.
It really was that first half run where Furman went up big by 27. The Catamounts were having to dig their way out of that. 51-36, Paladins led in the first half there at intermission, and they outscored the Catamounts 52-49 here in the second half and get the win 103-85. So again, Furman looks like one of those teams that's going to be a really tough outcome tournament time. Western Carolina did 80-plus points without their leading scorer. They too could still be a factor in the way this thing all shapes up over in Asheville.
Yeah, Furman's still trying to keep the heat on the Chattanooga Mocs. The Mocs of that big game at home tomorrow night against UNCG. So Furman with a win tonight, closing that gap a little closer to the top of the standings.
Furman with 4 players in double figures. Mike Bothwell with 25, Hunter with 23, 13 for Pegues, and how about Garrison with 13 to lead the way for the Paladins. Catamounts end up with 5 players, balanced scoring to get to 85 points tonight. 15 points for Marlo Gilmore led the way, 13 for Woolbright, 13 for Harris, 12 for Marvin Price, and Baycoat had 11 for Western Carolina. But Furman knocks down 15 three-pointers, and they win the game by the final count of 103-85 over Western Carolina. For our entire ESPN crew, my analyst Jeff Bryson alongside, I'm Daniel Hooker saying so long from Ingles Court at the Ramsey Center. Again, your final score, Furman 103, Western Carolina 85. All games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live and are archived on the ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN.